Happy holidays, everybody, from the Fort Worth Star-Telegram here for Cowboys Overtime. I am Fort Worth Star-Telegram sports columnist Mac Engel, joined by Mr. Clarence E. Hill Jr. I want to thank the great people of Window Nation for sponsoring this and every other episode of Cowboys Overtime this incredible season. Clarence, it's December 7th. Before we get into the Cowboys or anything football related, I have an important question to ask you. Is your holiday shopping done?
Done?
Yeah.
Started?
You didn't knock this out by August or October?
Hey, hell no. I'm a man. I'm 40.
You got two daughters. Both of them were teenagers. One's in college. The other one will be going to college shortly.
So does me paying for my daughter's flight from D.C. to Dallas for Christmas count?
Hell yes.
That count as a Christmas gift?
That should count as like 10 Christmas gifts as far as
it wasn't cheap.
I know it wasn't cheap.
So, what am I supposed to buy her on top of that?
Nothing.
And she blows up my
your phone?
My Uber.
Your
somehow she Ubers all over DC. I've already bought. I'm not buying her nothing for Christmas.
How did she get your account? Like, what did
I don't know. I don't know. It was for one occasion back whenever. Every Monday I wake up and I got all these Uber things, and I'm like, my account is a mess. I don't know what I have in my account. Uber and going to Uber in DC is not like $10 down the street.
Where's she going? Like, they've got a great metro system there. She could train anywhere.
Not at night, sir.
That's different. I'm with you on that.
Okay, she's 21.
Well, I remember.
21. Were you taking the metro at 21 at night?
No. Okay. No. Once you said at night in Washington D.C., I'm like, oh, okay, we're gonna get a car for that one. I remember her freshman year. We were up there, and you had told me that she was going through, like, her big thing was Chick-fil-A. That was her stop.
No, that's my youngest is a Chick-fil-A freak.
Oh, she was a Chick-fil-A freak. So did she access, like, because we gave our daughter, like, I think they call it like a green card. So it's kind of like a credit card that you just basically put cash on, right?
Right.
And she hasn't quite figured out how to use it yet. I know she's figured out how to use a lot of other things, but she hasn't had to figure out how to use that. So, like, how was your daughter blowing through Chick-fil-A? Like, were you just giving her $20 and then she'd go kill it at Chick-fil-A, or did she have access to your credit card?
No, she didn't access to my credit. No, again, that's my youngest with chicken. They don't. That's just her favorite restaurant.
Oh, okay.
She's a Chick-fil-A freak. My oldest is not necessarily. No, she's doing brunches now. She's 21. She wants to do $50. Oh my God, she's doing $50.
You know how much brunch is?
Huh?
Brunch is the most overrated.
Brunches and mimosas and all this other stuff.
What was the place in DC that you and I went to? The one in downtown. The one really.
Sweet Georgia Browns. We always go every year.
Right.
And they've gone up and they've changed the whole thing. They changed how they do things too. So because I
that's
went
the
up
best
there.
brunch space I've ever had, but it's not cheap. Is she
No, it's
going
not
there?
cheap. No, she's going to other places, but no brunch place is cheap.
No, it's not. It's the most.
You're in college. What do you need to go to $50 brunches for on Sunday?
No,
you go to church.
Or there, that's cheaper. But I'm convinced brunch is nothing more than clever. It's all it is overpriced breakfast and lunch. It's all it is. And I like Sweet Georgia Browns. But it's too much food. I couldn't eat that much food. I needed like a bag. Didn't you like pack it to go box?
Well, they send you to go because they give you like 3 courses, and one you take to go.
That's right. Yeah, I think you put it in the fridge in the hotel room. Okay, so we can talk about this all day. Let's talk about something else that people probably want to listen to, and that is specifically about the Dallas Cowboys and the endless quest to sign free agent wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr., which you have done a very good job of chronicling. You deserve a lot of credit for the reporting that you've done on this and everything else this season, because a lot's gone on with the Cowboys. Clarence, Odell Beckham is still a free agent. He has visited now 3 teams. He was in Dallas on Monday night, where he used the Joneses tickets along with some of the Cowboys teammates, Trayvon Diggs specifically, Micah Parsons as well, to watch the Mavericks play a home game. And now it appears
I was there, by the way.
I know.
Feeling like paparazzi. Obviously,
you were paparazzi.
I felt dirty.
We've all done that. I was on the yeah. So, uh, you know, Clarence, it seemed like this was going to happen, and you tweeted it yesterday. The news that we're seeing now is either posturing about a contract, or there is genuine concern on the part of the Cowboys that this guy really cannot help this team in 2022. What do you make of it?
Well, I mean, I think there's a little bit of both. I mean, the fact that he's not working out tells you, I mean, working out as part of the visits tells you that there's something going on with that the leg might not be ready yet. But teams understood this when they asked him to come visit. And so now it's a matter of what you can live with and what he can live with in negotiating. And certainly the Cowboys, I know Beckham camp's frustrated. They think the Cowboys were negotiating in the media with all the leaks about his knee and physical that they came out yesterday. But again, the Cowboys still were talking contract with him, and from my understanding that the question for the Cowboys, can he help us now? The question for Beckham is, I want to deal through next season. But if you can't help us now, we don't care about where you are next season.
Right.
And so that's kind of the yin and yang. And then how much is that worth to both sides? And so that's where we are, and I don't know that Buffalo or the Giants will be any different on where they are with Beckham. And I think the Giants certainly would need him more for next season, for a long-term situation. The Cowboys are trying to make a push now. They wouldn't mind him being here next season, but they need to know that he can play now. And so now we wait, and he decides what he wants to do. If, he has an offer that he can live with from either one of those parties, or he sits out and waits to play next season. But the good news for the Cowboys, and I know that it's going to seem like a disappointment if they don't get it because they've been so public about it. The problem is when you're public about things, people hold you accountable to things you say. Hint, hint. When you're public about things, I was talking about Dion. Anyway, when you're public about things, people hold you and they won't let it go. You said you wanted him. You said you need him. You said this was going to put us over the top of the Super Bowl. So if they don't get him, it's a huge disappointment. Publicly, inside, not really. Yes, we're doing everything we can to win. But the Cowboys, they're 9-3. They're playing as well as any team in the league. They've largely blown out the last of their opponents. The only other team in the NFL. Well, the two teams in the NFL with better records than them. One of them they blew out 40-3. The other one they played on Thanksgiving Day against the Eagles. There's no reason why the Cowboys, as they're currently constructed, can't win the NFC and make a run to the Super Bowl. It's easy as it's ever been since 1995, especially if we consider that the 49ers lost their quarterback. It's just the Cowboys. It should be the Cowboys in Philly.
So when it comes to Odell Beckham, this is a guy who has suffered now 4 injuries to the same leg.
2 ACL.
Yeah, and the last one obviously was he's over 30. I likened him to that there was some T.O. element to this, Terrell Owens element to this in terms of, he's just kind of he's walking drama. Good player, probably a decent guy, but just walking drama. But the reality of it is he suffered this injury in February. And if you look at Michael Gallup and the injury that he suffered in week 17 of the regular season, similar injury, it took him a while, even when he was playing. He hasn't really started to look like the Michael Gallup before the injury here until the last couple of weeks. It was going to take him time. So if Beckham, I kind of buy that. Because of Stephen Jones, I never really thought the Cowboys were going to do this. If it was Jerry left to his own devices, yes, I totally agreed with Troy Aikman that they would sign him. But with Stephen being involved, who's a lot more conservative than his dad, I actually buy this one because this is about 2022. And if we're signing this guy, we don't even know what. I kind of believe that one, just given based on what other players and how they come back from this injury. He's probably not going to be that productive until next season. If that's the case, then I think you just look at it and say, okay, we looked, gave it a kick at the tires. This isn't our thing. We're going to go with what we've got. I get the impression that that's what you think is ultimately going to happen.
I don't know because, it's but I think that everything is on the table and it's always at the right price. What's it worth? And the Cowboys are definitely not going to break the bank for it. especially in light of these issues. It's something that it's like a trial balloon. Will they? It's if it's at the right price and it doesn't wreck our cap, and they got a lot of free agents for next season. And so they all this stuff is under consideration. It doesn't look good now because I know theoretically when we talked to Jerry Sunday night, he was hoping to have a resolution by the end of the visit.
Right.
We're gonna, before they got the medicals, Jerry was much more excited about it Sunday night than he was Tuesday when we was talking on the radio about it. And so therefore, it doesn't look good. It looks bleak. There's no optimism. There's no momentum right now to get a deal done.
Clarence, you taught me this when we covered the team together, that if you bring in a guy and if you bring in a guy to your building and you want him, you don't let him leave the building.
Right.
It's kind of like selling a car, right? If you get the car buyer in the car, you do not let him leave or let them leave without buying the car. The fact that Odell Beckham left without signing a deal, and this was the last team he visited, to me, I go back to what you said, which is if he left, you're probably not getting him. You think that applies here?
Yeah, I do, because he's been to Buffalo, he's been to Giants. He know what they've offered. He know what that situation is. To come to Dallas, you already have an idea of what that. If you were blown away and they made this situation something that you couldn't refuse, then it would already been decided, it would already been resolved. Certainly, just going back to the thing Monday night, he was soaking it up. I mean, he enjoyed that. And you're not getting that in Buffalo, and I would say that I think it's unfair to compare him to T.O. because he really doesn't have personal drama. He's really not he does not have personal drama. He's not a bad teammate. He's not wrecked a locker room. He's not ripped his teammates and treated his teammate. I mean, by all accounts, everybody loves him.
Well, okay.
There's nothing in the. And I'm just saying this. So what I'm saying is that guys like him, that guys like being around him. That certainly he has that Kardashian element. I think he brings something else. But it's not individual, personal. It's about me drama, is what I'm saying. And there's a difference to it.
There is, and the difference. And you're right. What T.O. did in Philadelphia with Donovan McNabb, or when he was in San Francisco with Jeff Garcia, that's ultimately the only reason why he didn't get into the Hall of Fame any earlier than he did. It was the things that he said. He was a great player. He's a Hall of Fame player. But even when you and I covered him, there were times when we would look at each other like, what are you doing? And you couldn't, as a sports journalist, you and I couldn't turn our back to that stuff. He would just sit there and say everything under the sun. And Odell didn't do that necessarily. But at the same time, he was in New York. He was a first-round pick, and they traded him. He was in Cleveland. They gave up quite a bit to get him, especially if you look at what Cleveland ultimately those picks turned out to be. They got hammered on the deal. They dumped him. The Rams had him. Now it's different because he tore his ACL.
Yeah, hang on. He was going to be Super Bowl MVP. The Rams wanted him back. That's you can't throw the Rams in there.
Well, I mean, you're right. But the bottom line is he's getting ready to sign with his fourth team.
Oh, no doubt. But he went from New York to Cleveland because of the money. And also his college coach, Adam Henry, was there. There was a lot of things. But certainly the Cleveland thing, it's your boy Baker. Still not. He's on
my guy.
Okay? I mean, he didn't make it work. That's him.
My guy Baker.
I mean, so there's nuance to this.
No, there is. And it would be unfair.
It's not just like he's like T.O., he's on a different team. No, there's other things that are going on there.
But it's also not a coincidence. If a team likes you enough, they sign you for that second contract.
I think that injuries and circumstance. I think that if he doesn't get hurt, in LA, he's back there, and he's probably signed a multi-year deal there. I mean, I think the injury. The beautiful thing about T.O., he really never got hurt. He played. He was there. He was in his prime. I think that if Odell Beckham was in his prime without injury, we wouldn't be having this discussion. Jerry would already put back to the Brinks truck and signed him.
Well, if that was the case, he'd still be in New York.
Well, yeah,
he would never have been traded. He would never have been done.
If not for the ACL injury, they would have already signed. No one would have let him go.
Speaking of offenses that don't need Odell Beckham, apparently, Clarence, Dak Prescott has been in the NFL now for a handful of years. He's been a starter since he came into the league. I can't think of a better stretch of offense with Dak Prescott as the quarterback than what they are doing right now. They're 11th in the NFL in total offense, which is a little bit of a surprise. And that's a little misleading because those numbers also include the games that Cooper Rush was the quarterback. And you can't kill Cooper Rush because they won a lot of games.
Yeah, I know. I remember when you were trying to start Cooper Rush over Dak Prescott. But anyway,
I never did. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I would never do that. So they come back. They should have beat. Dak Prescott comes back from his injury. They had the ultimate meltdown gag in Green Bay, but offensively scored a lot of points. They also had some pretty big turnovers. They go to Minnesota. They win 40-3. They beat the Giants 28-20. That game wasn't that close. And then they absolutely kicked the living bejesus out of the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday night, 54-19. Jason Garrett, the former Cowboys head coach, now Sunday Night Football analyst on NBC, said before the game, the Cowboys are going to win by 40. At the start of the fourth quarter, it was 21-19 Cowboys. By the end of the game, it was 54-19 Cowboys. Jason Garrett was almost right. Now, I know there were some defensive scores in there, and the Colts are one of the worst teams in the NFL. But Clarence, offensively, even if the Cowboys don't get Odell Beckham, they look pretty damn good right now. And I think everybody who's watching them would have to agree this is the best stretch offensively they've ever had with Dak Prescott as the quarterback.
Well, and I think, again, there's nuance to that. I think this is the best stretch offensively and defensively they've ever had as Dak Prescott a quarterback. Okay. And you talk about the 54 points. There were 4 turnovers that helped them score all those points in the fourth quarter. Yeah. The offense was playing well. But when you got a defense, this is the first time, and just talking to guys, talking to Des Bryant Monday night, he said this is the best team the Cowboys have had because of that defense. Yeah, with the offense, Dak, they're going, but because they have a complement, Mike McCarthy talked about complementary football, because they have a defense that's just as potent as the offense. That's why the Cowboys are dangerous. That's why they have a chance to do something special. Regarding the Odell Beckham thing and whether they need him or not, Noah Brown is still your third receiver. You know, and so. Well,
wait a minute, but Noah Brown. Look, hang on. Let me ask you this: we don't think Odell Beckham Jr. is really healthy, and if he does come.
If it was healthy, the reason why if he could play, if he could contribute, you have another weapon out there as a third receiver, and that's it. And so we'll know against Philly. I mean, there's still some questions about the Cowboys getting off bump and run coverage, and obviously you like the young tight ends. There's really only one difference-making player outside, and that's CeeDee Lamb. Everybody else is, quote-unquote, kind of just guys, but they make it work because the running game, and you got Tony Pollard and Zeke, and everything is going so well. But the reason they want Odell is because they just want to have as many weapons as they can. They don't want to leave nothing to chance. But, yes, they believe they can win as currently constructed, and the offense is going well. And Dak is – and then the thing is, Dak didn't play his best game Sunday night.
No, he didn't.
The throws he liked to have back there. They only threw for 170 yards.
Would they run for one? Did they get over 200?
They rushed for 220.
220.
Everybody was running well. I mean, and the great thing about the running game is they didn't start Zeke. And it's funny how life happens. They didn't start Zeke. They started Tony. We found out after the game that Zeke, missed a meeting or was late for a meeting, and they missed it for disciplinary reasons. But the fans, it was just so funny to me how fans are. And we know, we follow social media. Everybody hates Zeke. They want to. Everybody loves the Beckham, hates Zeke. At the end of the game, they're cheering Zeke. I mean,
he's jumping back into the kettle.
They want him to get a touchdown. He jumped. I mean, it's just funny to me.
What's not funny to me is the great people of Window Nation. We're going to take a break right now to listen to a word from those good people.
Window Nation, the star of window replacement and proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys, can help you fill the house this season with savings. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and make no payments and pay no interest until 2025. Fill your house for a customized authentic Dallas Cowboys jersey while supplies last. You could even help fill the Cowboys house and win tickets to a game. Visit windownation.com/Cowboys now for details. Call 866-95-NATION. Window Nation, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Back here on Cowboys Overtime on StarTelegram.com. That is Clarence E. Hill Jr. I'm Mac Engel. Clarence, got an idea for you for Christmas for your daughters, windows from Window Nation. Okay, we got 5 games left in the NFL's regular season. Dallas is in 3rd place in the NFC with a 9-3 record. Minnesota is 2nd at 10-2, and the Philadelphia Eagles are 11-1. 11-1. Clarence, only one team now, because the NFL wants more money, only one team now in the respective conferences get a bye. Right now, Philadelphia gets the NFC's first-round playoff bye because they would have the best record. If you look at the upcoming schedules for both teams, this looks doable. Can Dallas catch the Eagles?
It's funny because I'm going to be that guy. I hope they don't, or they should hope they don't. Who wants a bye? Who wants a bye? Bye teams don't. Why would you want to stop the momentum? The Cowboys don't look good coming off a bye. They struggled.
That's right.
The Colts game at the beginning of the Colts games, was slow because they were coming off a bye. I mean, do they really want to bye? You want to just play football. The good news about the bye is that everything will be at AT&T Stadium. You'll be at home. You don't have to go to San Francisco or Tampa or whoever you might have to go to in the first round of playoffs. Dreaded Seattle, but it's interesting.
I like the quote marks.
The question is not can they catch them, is can they beat them? Because I thought the only other chance to see, Giants had to lose before the Cowboys game was against Tennessee. Who's gonna? The Cowboys are 2 games behind them. So even if they beat them and both teams went out, the Cowboys can't catch them.
Well, here, hang on.
So they got
Philadelphia's up. Philadelphia's up. There are losses in here. Philadelphia's upcoming schedule. They got the Giants twice.
The Giants.
Look, the Giants are they can probably beat them once. Giants twice. The Bears aren't there yet. Dallas on Christmas Eve, the 3:30 game on Christmas Eve. A Saints team that can't get out of its own way. I think at most in this remaining schedule for the Eagles, there are 2 losses. For Dallas, you have Houston, which I didn't even know still had a franchise. The Texans come to AT&T Stadium this weekend. Then Dallas goes to Jacksonville, a team that kind of scares me for whatever reason. Philly on Christmas Eve. Then they go Tennessee 4 days later, a Thursday night game. Tennessee looked very scary 3 or 4 months ago. Now they look to be a bit of a mess. They just fired – I'd never even seen this. They fired their general manager in December. You never see that. And then the Cowboys finish up with road game against the Commanders in Washington, a game that I don't really have a feel for because you just don't know if Washington's going to have anything to play for. I just think Philly has an easier road. You bring up a good point.
Philly has an easier road.
No, but you bring up a good point. It's not necessarily can they catch them. It's can they beat them. I think given the way they played that Sunday night game a few months ago under Cooper Rush, Clarence, I think the Cowboys are going to beat them with Dak Prescott at home in a couple of weeks. But that might be a preview of an NFC title game. I don't know, but I don't think they're going to catch them.
Yeah, I just don't think they can catch them because Philly again. It was up to the Titans they destroyed the Titans this past Sunday, and if the Titans can't do it, I don't see anybody else on the schedule left on the schedule that can do it. Certainly, they have 2 games against the Giants, and we've seen the Giants twice, and the Cowboys, beat them by double digits. It should have beat them by double digits in both games. That's what it was. They're a one-dimensional team. They just have Saquon Barkley. They have nothing else. I just don't see the Giants slowing down the Eagles, and so it's up to the Cowboys to show the world the much anticipated showdown on Christmas Eve. Can they make that happen? Can they get that done? Because these next 2 games, it's the Cowboys Invitational. You got the Houston Texans, Jacksonville Jaguars. The Cowboys should be riding a huge winning streak. There's going to be so much hype and so much momentum going to the game. You have to be there, Mac. Christmas Eve. I need you there. I need you in the building.
I need you in the building. I like that. Okay, speaking of a team, my voice is cracked. I love being sick. Speaking of a team with a lot of momentum, we're going to go a little bit off Cowboys here because a special set of circumstances has happened in college football. The local team, TCU, is in the college football playoff.
I'll be right back. You keep talking. Keep talking.
Clarence is leaving me. That's tough. So on Saturday, TCU lost in the Big 12 championship game by 3 points in overtime, 31-28. Their first loss of the season, not regular season, which scared a lot of people thinking that maybe the college football playoff selection committee would kick TCU out of the top 4 rankings where they were, thus preventing TCU or any team from Texas from making the college football playoff. Turns out those fears were misplaced, as Sunday morning TCU was announced justifiably as the 3rd place team in the college football playoff. They will play number 2 and undefeated Michigan on New Year's Eve at the Fiesta Bowl in Glendale, Arizona. Clarence, college football playoffs started in the 2014 season. If someone would have told you then that the first team from the state of Texas to make the playoff would be TCU, and it would be 2022, and which means it's ahead of both Texas and Texas A&M, would you have believed this was possible?
I'm going to help you with your column, Mac. I mean, I know you like this storyline. No, I would not have believed that TCU would be ahead of Texas and Texas A&M. Oh my God, the shame. The shame.
Thank you. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
It is humiliating. It's awful.
Can we just celebrate? Can we celebrate TCU without putting in the context of Texas A&M?
Why not? Why do you care?
What this little school that could in Fort Worth, Texas is doing.
And they got an endowment of $2.5 billion.
You know they just gave Sonny Dykes the contract extension, right? Today. Breaking news. Sonny Dykes just got more money. Okay, TCU's a big boy, Mac. They're in a big boy conference. They got they don't need Gary Patterson to put his big boy pants up anymore. They're a real big boy.
Are you making fun of a Texas staffer? Right? He's on your sideline.
Big boy. They got a Heisman Trophy winner in LaDainian Thompson. They got a Heisman Trophy finalist. They're listen. Let's celebrate TCU.
No, it's amazing.
We would not have. No one saw this coming. Hell, no one saw this coming from TCU even before the season, not after they fired. I mean,
no way.
So what they've done is not just about the failures of Texas and Texas A&M. I'm sorry. It's about what Sonny Dykes has done for this team this year, because no one saw this coming.
Nobody. I think best case, people saw 8 wins, and that was including a bowl. Like if they won 8 games this season, but they would have been overjoyed. They're playing with house money. Even if they go out to Phoenix and get killed, it's been a great year.
Listen, Sonny didn't see this coming. Let's be honest. He did not start Max Duggan.
He started Max Duggan.
He lucked into his starting quarterback getting hurt. Because I'm telling you, they're not here. They're not here if Max Duggan is not quarterbacking.
Oh, 100%. 100. I mean, the fact that he didn't transfer, that no one will do that anymore. No one in his position, a guy who had been a 3-year starter and then benched, he would have been gone.
Yes.
Justifiably.
They're not here if Max Duggan's not starting. So they didn't know this.
No.
This, so it's just a special season.
It's amazing.
TCU, and everything is falling right. The senior quarterback, these veteran players, unwavering, unflustered. You can't fluster. I'm happy that they get Michigan instead of Georgia because they really have a legitimate chance to get to the finals. There's no way they beat Georgia. I'm sorry.
I agree. No one's beating Georgia.
Yeah, no one's beating Georgia. Let's be honest about that.
Yeah, that's true.
But they should.
They're playing, and everybody. This is for second place. And if TCU beats Michigan, even if they can beat. I think you're right. They can beat Michigan.
They have a better shot at beating Michigan and Georgia, and that's 100%. Fine. And that's not. Because their teams, I mean, those teams. No,
Georgia's a machine.
Is that much better than everybody else. They've been that much better than everybody else all season.
Last thing we're going to talk about real quick is TCU, then we'll wrap this up. Clarence, Max Duggan is a Heisman finalist. I have a vote. I'm not allowed to say it until after the announcement is made on Saturday.
Max Duggan, stop with all of this drama.
Can't say it.
Don't be Kirk Bowl. Okay, do not.
It's so funny. I was told that by some good friends of mine who are U2 fans, and they told me that they use that exact same sentence. They said, "Don't do what Kirk."
Well, this is my thing, and I love Kirk, great journalist.
I know you do.
And I love Kirk. But
hang on, Clarence. Let's give people the back. Kirk Bohl's a longtime columnist at the Austin American-Statesman. He's covered UT forever,
and he went to UT.
And he went to UT, and the 2006 Heisman finalist Heisman Trophy came down, and he voted for USC's Reggie Bush over Vince Young, and UT fans have never forgiven him for it.
My problem is this: most of the time, if you look at voting, it's regional. People in that region vote for whatever else.
Yeah.
Sometimes us as journalists, we go on our way to be objective.
Yeah.
And my problem is with the objectivity. Sometimes you go biased the other way because you cannot tell me that he saw more of Reggie Bush than he saw Vince Young that season.
No way.
You saw Vince Young, you saw everything that Vince Young did for that team that season. But yeah, you see highlights of Reggie Bush because you're not watching every game, and you vote Reggie Bush for numbers because you're going out of the way to be impartial and say I'm not showing partiality.
Right.
And so what I'm saying to you is, you know Max Duggan better than any voter in college football. You know Max Duggan better than any other candidate in college football. This is not hard.
No, I can't say who I voted for, but I'd understand if somebody did.
Any of these Hall of Fame voters.
Do you think he's going to win? Okay, so this is the reason I was going to ask you. I think going into the final weekend, and you could vote as late as Monday at 5. So if going into the final weekend of games, this conference championship games, I personally thought Caleb Williams was the head and shoulders winner. Didn't mean I thought he would win. And then Friday night they play. He pops a hamstring and he still plays. But before the game, people see that he's posted something about he's painted his fingernails, a 4-letter word against his opponent, the University of Utah. USC goes out and gets blown out. With a playoff berth on the line, they get run out of Las Vegas by Utah. Then Max Duggan looks like he's dying as he carries TCU back from an 11-point fourth quarter deficit to tie it on these Vince Young style runs in the fourth quarter where he collapses in the end zone and then they go to overtime and he gets the ball to the 1-inch line.
And they don't give him the ball.
And then they don't give him the ball, which was inexcusable. They shouldn't have given Sonny Dykes an extension. They should have fired him for that decision on the spot.
Exactly.
Might be a little much.
Exactly.
Might be a little much. So I'm thinking if people took the time and waited, Max Duggan might win this award. I don't know if he will, but he might.
How the hell has Stetson Bennett in a finalist?
I
thought Bijan Robinson had a chance, and there was in the Michigan running back. It should not be just a quarterback award. Stetson Bennett.
And you know what? We'll talk about this later, but I get it. It's just I think it's just become a bad habit among voters, and I'm guilty of that now. Where you're like, well, he's the quarterback of an undefeated team,
right?
So he's just put him. It's like the Gino Torretta, those Oklahoma quarterbacks. Who was the quarterback? What was his name? White something, Mike White. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, no, I get
he shouldn't have won. There's a bunch of them. Marshall Faulk should have won it, but he didn't win it. Vince Young should have won it. This happens all the time. But your point about Stetson Bennett, Hendon Hooker should be there, but he got hurt.
He's not the best quarterback in the SEC. The best part of that team is their defense. And again, unlike Max Duggan, who's individually he's not the greatest, but he personifies that team. Okay, his will to win, him not being flustered, at the end of the game, playing his best football and making plays for this team. It's been Max Duggan showing up in the fourth quarter every week.
Yep, he did until his coach took the ball out of his hands, which might actually work out for him to get a Heisman Trophy. That would be TCU's first Heisman Trophy since 1938. Okay, Clarence, this has been a lot of fun. It's good talking to you again. For all of your Dallas Cowboys coverage needs and Christmas shopping tips, be sure to follow Clarence E. Hill Jr. on StarTelegram.com. For all of your other sports coverage needs, check us out there too. We will see you next time here on Window Nation's Cowboys Overtime.